So this is my current drawing. I just started to shade him in, so I'm working on the pants now. Let me get to the shoes in the backpack. So this is of this guy pointing at this kid, telling him where to put his backpack down. But instead of having his arm pointing out in the same cell as this kid, I've just put him pointing down here, only as this shadow. And so, yeah, I went through a whole bunch of iterations of this with him, with the arm here, and then his arm sticking out, and then his face again in a slightly different expression. It just went on and on until I settled on this and decided it was perfect. But yeah, I'm very proud of this drawing. And it looks rough now because I'm just inking it in, starting to ink it in now. But it'll look really good, man. I've tried to do like 4 videos of me drawing this kid, and they've all come out pretty lame because I don't really have anything new to say that I haven't said about any of my other drawings. I'm doing something slightly different where the grid I put down that I inked this all in based on to duplicate a screen tone effect. So I put dots where the lines meet over areas that I want to shade in. So I'm doing it a little different where each cell is a different density, so each cell is different, and it gets most dense here with the kid. You see how it's more spaced out here than is here, and then this is even denser. This has to be most dense so that this drawing is so small that the grid has to be very dense, so in order to capture all of his features and proportions, Because if I was putting dots down on a grid like, say, that's this size, it would miss huge chunks of his pants or whatever. It's hard to explain, but anyway, yeah, I just feel bored talking about it. I don't really have anything new to say, and I don't like to repeat myself too much. Because my process just doesn't really change that much from drawing to drawing. My God, the door keeps banging below me in the apartment below. I swear to God, like 2 meth heads live down there. It's so sad. And they're like fighting all the time. Oh my God. But yeah, it's work today, and so I'm just drawing. So you see, I'm putting dots where I'm outlining his shoe, so you can sort of see what I'm doing. I'm putting dots down on the grid, so I'm trying to get the outline of his shoe down, but I'm only putting dots down. I'm doing a pencil first, and then I'll go over it with pen. I'm only putting dots down where the grid meets the outline, or when I put them inside, where the grid meets the shadow. Yeah, somebody commented on one of my videos I draw glacially. And I can't argue with that, man. But I draw every single day. I draw consistently. So I'm always putting, as slow as I am, I'm always putting the work in. It's like that Russian proverb. It's that says like, the slower you go, the farther you go. If I produce things way too quickly, I think this happens with artists a lot, is that you eventually burn out and you lose the inspiration. Especially happens with comic book artists. And they have like a real like sort of fight night window of time when they're good and inspired and really on top of their game. But if they produce too much, they work way too many hours, then they start to do things really quickly and rushed. And find out, start utilizing all these cheats, and they just get burnt out. But if you go at a very steady pace and nobody cares about them anymore. But if you go at a very steady pace, not only do you preserve the skill set, but you preserve the inspiration. I'm watching a documentary on the Vietnam War. By Ken Burns. See, I draw slow and I talk slow. And I walk slow. Yeah, I'm watching a documentary on the Vietnam War, and it's fucking amazing by Ken Burns. Everybody should watch that thing. It's subjective, it's thorough, it tells amazing, it just tells the whole story of the war. It's just really well done. It has, Ken Burns has great taste. He always had great taste. I get, when you watch the Civil War stuff and in the World War I stuff. But the problem with those documentaries, in my opinion, is that they're all photo based. That's what people like about them. But that's ridiculous. Give me a break. The Vietnam War, it was all filmed, and there's tons of film footage of it, and so not only does it have very good taste, and not only is it very thorough, but it's very visceral. You know what I'm saying? And that is a crazy war, man. And I was thinking about it, and what part of it is because basically you're fighting in the jungle and in the mountains the whole time, and you can never see the enemy. Whether you're part of the North Vietnamese army or if you're an American. It's like your enemy's always shrouded in the jungle, and so crazy ambush will happen. Everybody's shooting at each other, and you don't even know where it's coming from, and you don't know where your enemy is yet. People are getting blown away right and left, right next to you, and it's just total insanity. Not only that, but it's like there's a total breakdown in sort of civilization. I mean, the sense I get is that even in the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War, there was a lot more oversight than there was in the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, I feel like just by the nature of it's like people are lost sort of in the jungle, and the other crazy thing is that the metric that generals use to decide if the United States Army was winning or not was all based on body count. So how many Viet Cong, North Vietnamese soldiers that the Americans kill. It wasn't based on anything else, like, capturing land or significant sort of enemy outposts or whatever. It was just all about body count. And so American soldiers, that mean there's a lot more room for American soldiers just to kill civilians and say they were the North Vietnamese army. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just absolute insanity where tons of civilians were killed, tons and tons and tons, and also Americans. And my thinking used to be like, as it became sort of more conservative, was like, okay, so we're in the Cold War with Russia and China. And what are we going to do if China and Russia are supporting the North Vietnamese in taking over all of Vietnam and, invading and taking over South Vietnam, and they're supporting them with weapons and troops and everything, then what should America do? Just let that happen? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, it's this giant power struggle. And if you have superpowers, it's like it's like what are you going to do? You're going to let the Chinese and the Russians supply these revolutions and take over countries one by one? But on the other hand, it's not entirely clear. I just have to learn more, really. I don't really have any opinion about it. But the Korean War was the North Korea invading South Korea, with support from China, and we fought Chinese troops in the Korean War. And so, what are we supposed to? It's this sort of very similar situation, just in terms of the politics and everything behind it. And so, what are we supposed to do? Just let North Korea and this Chinese superpower we're competing with take over South Korea, which is democratic, and we didn't, and North Korea didn't take over South Korea. But who knows? I just, I don't know. I'm just talking because what else? What else am I going to do, man, as I film myself drawing? Anyway, yeah, this is my drawing.